to help the audience understand what it's like to be an appraiser, what you do, how it affects a real estate transaction, and all the fun stuff. So would you like to introduce yourself first? Tell us how long you've been doing it, the name of your company.
Well, thank you very much. I've been in the appraisal industry for right at 30 years.
Wow.
And my wife and I started the appraisal company back in '96. She actually was an appraiser before, just a couple years before myself.
Nice.
At that time, I was an advanced paramedic, and we decided that the appraisal industry and the lending industry was growing so rapidly at that time, we decided to open up our own little business,
Nice.
which is called Rapid Appraisal.
Great.
We have been located here in Waterford the whole time. We had a little building there at the corner of Airport and Hatchery.
Okay.
Rapid Appraisal
I think
Services.
I remember that.
And started a family business, and it grew, and we had family members, and then we started setting people up in home offices. At one point, we had 29 employees.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was great. It was very exhilarating,
Right.
and growing so fast at that time, and so it went on, and been in business ever since. Now it's back down to just myself after the big crash, and people moving on into their own little businesses, and that sort of thing, which is common for the industry.
Right.
And at this point, there's actually only 1,800 appraisers left in the state of Michigan.
Wow.
And
that's pretty phenomenal.
and dwindling.
Yes.
The average age of an appraiser is actually 60 plus.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you brought that up, because actually I love the education aspect of everything in our real estate industry, and the appraiser's license has become a lot more challenging to get, which I'm very elated about. I mean, honestly, I think that to be a real estate agent, I think ours needs to be a little bit tighter as well, to clean out some of the people that really are just in it for the money and not for the consumer.
To be a licensed appraiser, it has changed over the years.
Yes.
When I started, you had to have 30 hours of classroom, 2,000 hours of actual real estate appraisal time with a licensed appraiser.
So an apprenticeship.
Yeah, apprenticeship.
Which is great.
Yep. And that's how I started in the business. And then you started taking on trainees and that sort of stuff, and help trainees, and then they would work for you or go off on their own.
Right.
And then at one point it changed where you had to have an associate's degree.
Right.
In statistics and mathematics and different classes, and then it went back. You still had to have, I think it went down to 1,600 hours at that point of
Apprenticeship.
Internship with a licensed appraiser, and then it changed where not just any licensed appraiser, you had to be a supervising appraiser,
Right.
which the supervising appraiser, like such as myself, had to take continuing education classes
Right.
in order to be able to teach the internship.
Right. Well, and I think that's so important. Again, we, in our industry, for those of you that don't know, I mean, continuing education is so important, and you should always make sure that you're working with a licensed individual in our industry, and that they are doing continuing education, because it changes every single day. Keith, I know that you've been in it a long time, and I didn't realize that your whole family had done it, so that's really cool. I really appreciate that. For the audience out there, I know Keith through actually the Pontiac Waterford Elks. We're both members. He's actually our ER right now, and he does a phenomenal job taking care of us there. I know I've had him speak at a couple of my office meetings, and I really appreciate that. So I really have he has a lot of integrity, and I have a lot of respect for him. But I'm going to move on to what does an appraiser actually do?
Well, there's a process, and whether it comes from a private individual a lender, or an attorney. Depends on the type of appraisal that I'm requested to do.
What types are there, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, there are estate appraisals, which cannot be used for lending.
Okay.
There's Fannie Mae appraisals, which is obviously for lending purposes. There's, if you want to purchase a home, refinance, home equity, tax abatement appraisals. You know, each one of them, it's basically the same process. However, there's different aspects to that.
Different qualifiers.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
And so how let's say for an example, a lender, if you're going to purchase a home. So at that point, in the process, the lender will transfer it to what they call an appraisal management company.
Okay.
Where back in 2008, prior to that, the lenders were always able to order their own appraisals. But prior to the large crash in 2008, they come up with appraisal management companies,
Right.
which is done so it can be done on an unbiased situation. Where nowadays we are not even allowed to talk with the lender, so
Right.
there's no undue pressure, you know, to obtain that specific value
Right.
or anything like that. It's all, you know, you're doing the appraisal
Based on the house, not by someone else kind of nudging
someone
you.
else's pressure.
Yes,
That's correct.
yes. I love that you said that because in our industry, the word unbiased is, I mean, it is in every single division. We all should be an unbiased party. As when I was in the title industry, title companies are third parties. They're working for everybody at the table. Appraisers are working for getting that appraisal for that house and making sure the comps around them. And he's unbiased. He's not being coerced to make the house a higher value to tank the market. Because everything, again, people forget in real estate, we really do control the economy.
Yeah.
We really do control the economy. So if we, in our business, have a bunch of people that are inflating prices and the values really aren't there, we'll go back into people with the short sales and things like that. So going back to let everybody know, that's why this is one of the most important aspects of the transaction for the consumer, for the lender, because they can't loan money if they are doing a bad job and they're given false loans. To the title companies, it keeps all of these eggs moving.
That's
and
right.
Staying
So
around.
we actually, our client, all of our client is the purchaser.
Yes.
That's who we all work for.
Yep.
However, my client is the lender.
Right.
So due to confidentiality laws, I have to report to that lender. Even though you're the realtor and you're part of our team, I can't give that.
Yep.
I can't divulge information to you.
Right.
So going back to the appraisal management company, they assign me the scope of work.
Okay.
The type of work that they're requesting.
Okay.
And let's say it's a standard 1004 appraisal on estimated market value of a purchase.
Okay.
So during that process, I get the assignment, I review the assignment.
Can I ask you a quick question, not to interrupt, but in that assignment, does it tell you what the sale is for? Do you get like any information about the purchase?
Yes.
So you do have an idea of what the value is that we're hoping to obtain. I don't want to say hoping, but okay. Just want to make sure. And
Yes.
That's a clarifier because I want people to understand. Like you do have some parameters that you understand, but you're looking not just to go to that number. You want to make sure that that number is good.
That's correct.
Okay.
Because of the purchase agreement, there's not actually a lot of legal data that I need to know about that in order to perform the appraisal. Because seller concessions, for instance.
Oh, that's important.
You know, that is important. And it does have an effect on a part of the appraisal.
Can you share, can you elaborate? Because a lot of people, that's the first thing they go to, is they'll offer, as a real estate agent, to win an offer, if there's multiple offer situations, someone may come in a lot higher on an appraisal and not do an appraisal guarantee, which is something else we'll talk about. But then they'll come in, they'll do an inspection, and then they want, $10,000 in seller's concessions,
Right.
or they want this, that, and the other. And how does that affect? 'Cause
Well,
that makes sense.
That's a part of the process.
Okay.
However, I want to make it perfectly clear that I don't appraise a number.
Right.
I appraise the property.
Property. Yep.
Even though, and it's quite common nowadays because of the shortage, is the bidding, the overbidding,
Yes.
the multiple bids per home. Let's say, for example, the property is listed at $225. Well, in the current market, it's not uncommon for me to have, or you as the real estate agent, to have 5 bids and it go all the way up to
260.
260.
Yeah, right.
I appraise the home.
Right.
I appraise the property.
Right.
I don't appraise the number.
Right.
And that's where, the contract has to do with it. That's why appraisers ask questions of the realtor, because them are all a part of the process.
Right. And just for the consumer outside in TV land, real estate agents, we do a current market value to list the home. So we do something similar, but not to the educational point that I take appraisal classes as well. Like anytime I get an opportunity to, because I'm doing that at the front of listing a home. Keith is coming in when the lender receives the order that the inspection has gone through, everybody's happy, and now we're moving forward. And so the buyer is really interested in, they're buying this house now. All the contingencies have passed. And so the buyer pays to the lender the appraisal fee. They give it to a management company. It comes over to Keith. Keith just sees what the address is, the home, sees what the contract's for, some of the terms of the deal. And then he looks at the house. He doesn't look at the deal anymore. He just looks at the house and shares some of the steps that you go through. Please.
Yeah, so based on my scope of work, which is given to me by the AMC, I go out and make an appointment to visually see the property myself.
Okay.
Based on the assignment. It could be a drive-by assignment that, maybe they have a large down payment and they don't need a full inspection. Maybe the lender has some information about the home already. But generally, I do a full interior, exterior observation.
Right.
I don't
You're not
do
an
it. I'm not an
inspector.
inspector.
You are
I
an
make
appraiser.
That clear. I am an appraiser, and I do an observation of the home.
All right.
I tell the homeowners and buyers and sellers that often. Well, even like on FHA.
Right.
I'm not an inspector.
Right.
I always suggest and recommend that they hire a full inspector.
Right.
But I'm doing an appraisal.
Right.
My observations are visual.
Right.
I do turn on lights and I do turn on water and check things to make sure that everything is functional. Furnaces, air conditioners, windows, things like that add value to the home.
Right.
That are part of the structure.
Right.
And so that's part of my observation.
So
I go in the home and one of the first things I do is I am trying to determine the quality level of the home.
Right.
So I can provide.
Of the materials
Yes.
and the makeshift and the workmanship that's been done.
That is correct.
That's very important, everybody. That's the quality of the home.
Yes, and the workmanship and the quality, because, and the reason why Jamie says that's important is that I can have 3 properties right next to each other, and the one property being like say vinyl flooring and Formica countertops and just wood siding and, wood windows.
Right.
And it'd be it could be 1,000 square foot, 3-bedroom home.
Right.
House number 2 has carpet, some ceramic, might have a little bit of brick veneer, it might have some, instead of the white standard appliances, might have some stainless steel appliances, a little bit better quality.
Yeah, quality upgrade.
And it's still 1,200 square foot.
Right.
My third property is still 3 bedrooms,
right.
1,200 square foot, but I've got granite.
Right.
I've got wood floors. I've got newer vinyl windows. I've got a newer roof.
Right.
See, that is one of my
Kitchen's
most important
updated.
things, and is recently renovated and updated.
Right.
Is, that's the purpose of my observation of I'm the eyes and ears of the lending institution.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm going out, and that's the purpose of me coming out to the home and walking through the home. And it's funny, many people say, well, he was only here a half hour.
Right.
Well, after 30 years, I know exactly what I'm looking for. And if a homeowner would say, was there a plug on that wall? Yep.
Yep.
So, things like that. It's just, and that's another reason why we take photos.
Right.
And making it also perfectly clear that all the photos that we take are strictly confidential by law. We do not upload them in the cloud or the web.
Right.
They
Send
go
them on the internet.
No. It goes right into our report,
Right.
which has added security measures.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome to know. I love how you're sharing it, because a lot of people don't realize that there's a difference in quality and quantity. And when I say quantity, I'm talking about bathrooms or
Yes.
bedrooms or garage spaces and all of these things, like, check a box. And then you take that home, and then what do you compare it to?
Well, a very simple way is apples to apples.
Yep. So
That's-
not a tri-level to a contemporary to a
Nope,
ranch? All three of
nope.
those would not be
I'm
in the same
gonna-
appraisal?
Well, that depends. and the word depends in appraisal is a common word.
Right.
But obviously, I want to get as close to apples as I can.
Right.
And we have strict guidelines that we have to follow.
Okay.
And I noticed in my questionnaire that, well, what if you can't find a comparable?
Right.
So in that situation, then we would expand our search parameters a little bit. We would search, like, say, I have a 1,200 square foot home.
Right.
I might search up to a 1,500 square foot home and then obtain a market abstraction adjustment
Right.
for that difference.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. And then are those the homes that you're comparing it to? Is it within the last 6 months, 9 months, 12 months? Can you go back like 4 years? What's the time frame for the houses that you're comparing it to?
All lenders would love for all my comparables to be within 90 days.
Right.
And the reason why is that's showing the current market. However, we've been in a little bit slower market, so I can go back 6 months,
Okay.
and that's still a good reflection on that market area.
Right.
Sometimes it gets a little bit more challenging, and I can go back to a year.
Okay.
And they'd like me to stay, depending on the market area, within a mile. If I have a bigger subdivision with a lot of homes in there,
Right.
then I want to stay within a half a mile or a
Right.
quarter mile.
Right.
One key thing to remember is that it's unethical to leave your market area to obtain a house that's 2 miles away
Right.
when I have homes right here that are in my market.
Right. Right.
And that's something that happened in the big crash, and
Right.
That was one of the bad things that happened. And you got to be aware of your market area.
Right. Actually, as you're saying that, I really want to do a panel for the big crash of the people that were not, I don't want to say involved in the big crash, but of
all
those that we
involved.
lived through it, and to kind of explain to people. We all watched The Wall Street.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what a great show. But for us as local people within our community that went through it, seen things happening, didn't turn a blind eye. I pointed stuff out to people, but knowing that it affects us down the line, it's affecting us. But not to get on that, but you'll be on that panel, I'm sure. So you gathered the home, so you get the order from the lender, the buyer pays for the order with the lender. You go through and you take a walk through the property just to check the value of the quality and the quantity of the items in the home. One thing that I always run into is the property records, because usually I'm asked to do a current market value and haven't seen the home yet. It'll say maybe there's 2 bathrooms, but then you get there, they're like, well, wait, I have 4 bathrooms. What are you talking about? So that's another really good boots on the ground.
Oh, yes, most definitely. Another thing that we have to do is we have to physically measure the home for the square foot accuracy.
Wow.
One thing that's common, public records, when it comes to a bungalow home style home,
Right.
Where it's 1.5 story. Well, ANSI standards, which is the measuring standards that we have to go by, show that there's height differences in the second floor. Now,
Really?
public records back then, they said just 1.25 story. So so they threw down a number that said 900 square foot. When in all essence, this is a 1,150 square foot,
Right.
250 square foot difference,
Right.
which is quite a bit on
In a value.
on a single value home, and in value. That's
Yeah,
correct.
yeah.
So one of the things that we must do is measure the home accurately,
Right.
and that's part of our process when we come to the home. Nowadays, it's a lot easier when we have the laser measurers, and back in the old day, I still have my faithful tape measure.
Right,
But
me too.
and then they have programs now where they can take the phone and go around the walls and do it that way. And
Right.
but that is a very important part of the appraisal process.
Right.
And then, like you said, bathroom and bedroom counts. Well, a lot of times you'll look on public records and it says 2.5 bathrooms. Well, it doesn't say that half bathroom's in the basement.
Right. Right.
And then legally, in the appraisal process, I cannot include that half bathroom in the basement in my overall gross living area. However, it is accounted for on your basement level.
Okay.
So
If the basement's finished, can you?
you include it in that basement level.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
That makes sense. Okay.
Even like a finished basement. A finished basement, the gross living area in a basement, because it's below grade, ANSI standards doesn't allow us to add that in the overall gross living area.
Unless you have egress.
Even if you have egress.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
That's even if you have a full walkout basement and you have daylight windows, if part of that is
Underground.
below grade, then it's considered a different line item, if you
Gotcha.
will. It's not your overall gross living area.
Wow, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
That's something I did not know, and that's very interesting because you have, from our perspective when we're doing current market values, I have a 5-bedroom, 3.5 bath, and 3 of the bedrooms are in the basement and there's no access
Right.
to get out. And
That's
then
in trouble.
Yes, and then you talk to them. I had someone ask me, well, what if I put in egress windows and people can get out? Can I count that? And I said, well, we can count it, but I don't know that the appraiser is going to count it the same that we would.
Right, we can't.
Right. Okay. So that makes sense. So
Yep.
this is really good.
Yeah, so like a perfect example is I have a 2,000 square foot ranch.
Right.
And I got 2,000 square foot finished walkout basement with daylight windows, and I got 2 bedrooms down there and a full bathroom, and so you would think I have 4,000 square foot
bar
home.
and
yeah, and it's finished out as nice as the upper level.
Right.
In a lot of cases, it's finished out nicer than the upper level.
Because that's where they live.
But so you would think, I've got a 4,000 square foot home.
Right.
Well, the fact of the matter is, you have a 2,000 square foot home with a finished walkout basement.
Which uses additional
Yeah.
living space, but not counted as your
Right.
full. Yes.
And you don't lose value. There is added value in the finished walkout basement.
Right.
However, if you put $75,000 into your finished basement,
Right.
that does not mean that your value automatically goes $75,000 up.
Really?
Sorry about that.
Come
but,
on.
yeah.
Do you know how much it costs? That appraiser doesn't know what he's talking about. After that, 75,000 was getting it prepped so you could do it.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm glad that you brought that up because that's so important. Because a lot of people, I actually had someone today that sent me like I'm gonna go do a comp for them, but I'm doing it without. And I said, what are you? Can you share what your updates have been in the last 3 to 5 years? And he goes, well, I put a whole walkout basement and he completely finished it, a bar, 3 bedrooms, I have 1 half bath down there. It's on the lake, and that increase, it cost me over $200,000 for those improvements. So it's got to do something for my value. Mm-hmm. And I was like, it does, but not, 200,000.
Right.
Right. And then they look at us like we have, side eyes and like, what'd you do? But no, I love that. Thanks for, that's good to clarify.
Oh, yeah.
People don't understand that.
They don't, that is a common misconception.
Right.
That
right.
a lot of homeowners feel, well, I've got 3 full bathrooms.
Right.
I have to explain to them, well, I'm sorry, but one of them is in the basement.
Right.
So by law, you've got 2 full, and then I explain to them that 3rd bathroom is accounted for in the next line down in the appraisal process.
Right.
Because you don't lose value. Actually, it's a positive amenity
right.
to have that.
Right.
And so you don't lose value on positive amenities.
And that's awesome. Speaking of positive amenities, what if I'm going to do, okay, thank you. If I'm going to do improvements to my home, mm-hmm. what are the areas that would be important that an appraiser would look at? And I have a lot of people that think that, I did my roof, I did my windows. I keep reminding people that's maintenance. I mean, you have to have a roof on your house, you have to have windows.
Right.
What are the places inside the home that aren't considered maintenance if you upgrade them that really affect the value of your home?
In the appraisal aspects, also come into effect of the realtor aspect. What's the number one thing when you walk into a home and look at? The kitchen.
Kitchen.
The kitchen is, to improve and upgrade your kitchen is one of your best things that you can do to maintain and improve your value of your home.
Right.
After the kitchen, then it goes on to the bathrooms. At least one of the bathrooms, you want it to be of equal quality to your kitchen.
Okay.
Because you don't want to have your living room old 1960 paneling,
right,
and red shag carpet,
right,
and then have an ultra modern kitchen. And then go into the bathroom and it match the living room.
Right, it looks like the Brady Bunch bathroom.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's orange and yellow.
The kitchen and the bathrooms, the general appearance of the interior of your home.
Okay.
Fresh paint.
Okay.
Fresh trim.
Can I ask?
Yes.
What if you don't have a house? You don't have a garage attached to your house, and you build a garage and add it? Is that more value than putting a shed outside?
Yes, greatly.
Okay.
And because of the functionality of that.
Okay.
A garage is so much superior to a shed. Simple fact, you want to store your car.
Right.
You want to store, your other valuables. Obviously, you can put your lawnmower and your weed whacker and stuff in a shed, but you cannot store your car there.
Right.
That's where you're going to gain your value in a garage, because of the size and the functionality of the garage, opposed to a shed.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I could talk to you for hours, and hopefully you will come back because this was very, very informative. And I didn't even flip the page. Like, I have questions here that we didn't even go over, and I really want to say thank you, Keith, for coming today. This has been so informative for me, and you don't even know the value that you bring. And being who you are to our community, and being a Waterford resident, and having a business in Waterford and still functioning is so important. Because we are for the Waterford Network, you
Yep.
know.
I grew up in Clarkson, been in Waterford for the last 45 years, and
I
had
think
a business here in Waterford. And like you said, I'm a part of the community. I was
Yes.
a Waterford volunteer firefighter for 15
Yes.
years. And
Yeah,
this is
so-
my home.
yeah.
This is awesome.
And likewise, I appreciate you being here. And for everybody out there in TV land, give us some feedback. I'd love to hear your feedback. You can get my contact information from the channel. You can email me, call me, whatever you'd like. But I would like to bring Keith back. I'd like some opinions on things that you'd like to see. This is so special to me to be able to help and educate the people of our community on buying homes, selling homes, and this isn't going to stop. I'd love your feedback. So that wraps up today's show of The Journey Home with Jamie Sheet. So until next time, I hope you all have a blessed week, and go Tigers. Have a great
Yay!
night.